From the abysmal withdrawal from a failed war in Afghanistan to a heartless dismissal of cannabis research, the federal government continues to abandon its veterans. Veteran groups far and wide, like the American Legion, overwhelmingly endorse cannabis research so VA doctors can understand and legally prescribe marijuana to forgotten warriors who suffer from everything from PTSD to insomnia and chronic pain. In 2017, the National Academy of Medicine announced they'd poured over 10,000 research papers and abstracts and concluded there is clear evidence cannabis can treat chronic pain, MS symptoms, as well as nausea from chemo. Yet the VA has decided there is no medical benefit to MJ, so why bother looking into it? The VA and DOJ work hand in hand, recoiling from any meaningful research because the plant is a Schedule I substance that has no medical benefit. And they engage in circular logic. There hasn't been enough research, so we don't really know what's in there. But whatever is in there, it has no value. As well as confirmation bias, only funding studies that search for the harmful effects of marijuana and not the pain-thwarting, life-saving benefits many veterans need desperately. And this is the most unshocking side effect from President Biden's administration. He was, after all, the one who authored and shepherded the 1994 crime bill that dictated mandatory minimums for marijuana offenses. And despite claims he's evolved on weed, he still calls it a gateway drug. Lawmakers from his own party are fighting his administration and various agencies to finally move on some aspect of rescheduling or legalizing or meaningfully decriminalizing cannabis once and for all. California Democrat Congressman Lou Correa wrote a 2019 bill telling the VA to please study cannabis for PTSD. But he's getting stonewalled by the agency as though Jefferson Beauregard Sessions was still the nation's top cop. While the feds drag their heels, vets are forced to settle for opioids and antidepressants, as those suffering most tend to self-medicate. It's a shame the federal government has let it come to this when there are a number of bills and there could be executive orders that would easily ease their suffering. Instead, they're ignored by a bunch of fussy old drug warriors, while the real warriors are taking their own lives to the tune of 18 a day. The president and Congress have the power to stop the suffering, but they're drunk on their own power, which is the deadliest gateway drug of all. And that's the memo. Republicans and Democrats are waving the green flag for pot, from bills for vets to widespread legalization. The legislation is out there. But will it ever make it to President Biden's desk? And would he even sign it? The party panel is back. Chris Bedford, Juan Williams, and Kristen Tate. Obviously, this issue has reached critical mass, Chris Bedford. It's insane we're still having this discussion. When you talk about marijuana in medical terms, 36 states, including the District of Columbia, have at least medical marijuana. 12 states, marijuana is fully legal. So why is the federal government dragging its heels, especially in this one area where people need help so desperately?
I think it's just old-fashioned politics and being focused on the wrong things. I may be your only friend, Kennedy, who's not in favor of recreational use of marijuana, but I know two of my very good friends, two of my oldest friends, two high-functioning family men who are both veterans of the War on Terror, have been really helped by marijuana just in my personal life in the last couple of years. One was able to kick an alcoholism that was starting to kill his body and would have left his two twin daughters without a father if he'd continued it. Was able to kick that completely with Heineken Zero and some weed to try and calm him down from his PTSD. Another friend was able to finally find sleep, and he didn't want to get on these pills. He didn't want to be on the antidepressants. He wanted to be on Prozacs, but with a little bit of medical marijuana, he was able to sleep at night and get through the nightmares and the things that kept him up and all of the stress of the day left over from his PTSD and really pull his life back together. Both of these people are not addicts. Both of these people have not been dragged down. They're high-functioning family men, and that kind of thing, seeing that in person, seeing that in real life, really turned me on and made me much more open to the idea of this. So it's very sad to see our scientists so unwilling to go after this, and it just shows you how political our scientists are.
Yeah, I think people shouldn't be doing a lot of things, but I don't think those things need to be illegal and overly regulated. So Juan, why is this still a sticking point?
Well, I mean, the politics of this is so anachronistic in
Yes.
my view. I mean, but I must say, a lot of this is, older people. I mean, you look at the age group that runs the country in the U.S. Senate and even the White House, and I think these are people who grew up with reefer madness and all the
Yes.
scare tactics about marijuana. And they are not open-minded about it. They're afraid that if they do open the door and anything goes wrong, they will be labeled as people who, allow drugs to, in the Nancy Reagan type world to say, you open the door, and these young people rush through it, and now look at them and look at all the sadness and catastrophe that can come from young people using drugs. I think that's I got to tell you, this is overwhelming, and it's more so, it seems to me, in a matter of age and even conservatism.
Yeah, that
just says we don't
really
want to
interesting
deal
because-
with this.
Yeah, but you're right, because conservatism here doesn't really have to do with party. And you're also right, the people running the country are so old, they make you look like Greta Thunberg. Kristen, last word.
No, that's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan or advocate of recreational marijuana just because it's not healthy for most people, but there's plenty of evidence to suggest that marijuana has many medical benefits, particularly for pain relief. And because of the stigma that we have attached to weed, we now have this ironic situation where many people are abusing it and using it recreationally while we're not even allowed to study it and figure out what the benefits of it could be for medical uses.
Which
So we ought to
maybe we should.
allow research into this.
Yeah, maybe the VA and every research institution should be doing as much as they possibly can to study and learn so people who need it can get it in the most appropriate form instead of fumbling around at dispensaries and trying to do their own personal experiments. All right, which, also people eat too much sugar. But should we decriminalize? Should we criminalize sugar? Maybe we should. Maybe we should tax it.